If serious music critics said a chamber ensemble played like the Marx Brothers, you'd think they'd been panned. But not the Canadian Brass, a quintet who will play Jelly Roll Morton and J.S. Bach in the same concert, who will chat to their audience and crack cornball jokes. It's a combination that has them booked solid from now until next summer in a string of concerts stretching from Kansas City, where they are tonight, to Tokyo and Edinburgh. The same newspaper critics who labeled them the Marx Brothers of Brass also say they are the best brass ensemble in the world today, in concert or on record. New York, New York. Not such a wonderful town these days for the record industry, but here they found a new Canadian group. It's the kind of group that can bring out the optimism in the most jaded executive.
I don't think there are any classical records in this group, but I hope there will be. Maybe Canadian Brass will be a first for us. I hope so.
They've been called the Marx Brothers of Brass. In Toronto, they see themselves differently.
I think that one of the things we'd like very much to do is to break down the barriers. If a person wants to call us the Marx Brothers of Brass, okay, they can call us the Marx Brothers of Brass. If they want to call us the most serious brass ensemble that the world has ever seen, they're welcome to call us that too, because when it comes right down to it, we're very serious about doing what we do.
Such serious purpose has kept the same people together for nearly 10 years. Fred Mills, the arranger. Chuck Dallenbach on tuba. Graham Page. Gene Watts. And the late arrival, Ronnie Rom. In itself, it's something of a record that 5 musicians from jazz bands and symphony orchestras can still meet in the same room.
Warm up on this? Oh, I'm getting better at it, sure. Right? Is that okay with you?
Come on, come
on. Dedication to their music has left their personal lives in some disarray. And although 2 of them are married, the group remains a group.
We've had to learn how to work with each other. It's like a family. We've grown together. We've gone through the same things. The good things that happened to us happened to all of us. So we're there together through good things, through bad things, and we're always learning from each experience.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel it's almost like a group therapy session, you know, because I don't really know what group therapy is, but I would imagine it'd be something like this, because you get your own personality in a group like this keeps coming back to you.
Each one of us has certain areas, certain concepts about classical music, about the repertoire we're doing, about our presentation, and all the various things that go with. And we have to always be flexible enough to encompass 4 other opinions on even those things we feel most strongly about.
I've had a lot of guys, musicians, ask, how do you keep together and so on. And I think a lot of groups, they get to a certain point and they're afraid to look over the mountain to the next step in their togetherness. They should try it. They should go that next step further, even if they hate each other.
I've been married twice, and this is, I'm trying to compare it to marriage. I think it's almost, it's harder to get away from. I mean, you're here, you have to work, you know. There's no place to run.
Jay Sachs, an RCA producer, normally handles the recordings of the Philadelphia Orchestra and the Chicago Symphony. Today, it's the Canadian Brass. If they can agree about the arrangement, this will be part of a 3rd album for RCA, who discovered them, quote-unquote, 2 years ago.
They're great. I think they're probably the best brass ensemble in the world today. Another stop on their concert circuit, Birmingham, Alabama.
Birmingham is staging a salute to Canada, so this one is to be paid for by the Department of External Affairs. And for the annual Arts Festival, Main Street has been turned into Sussex Drive.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Canadian Brass, welcome them, Alabama.
We're going to play a piece by Fats Waller, who made his fame and fortune in New York during the 30s and 40s. We're going to play a piece that he used to love to play called Handful of Keys. Fred has a particularly special trumpet to play in this called the piccolo trumpet. It's half as big as the regular trumpet. And when Fred plays it, so much pressure builds up inside his head. It's possible, just possible, that Fred could blow the hair right out of the top of his head. I mean, we know it's true because, you see, Ron used to play a piccolo trumpet, and he had a stop.
It's not one of their greatest gigs. It's late at night, the crowd is noisy, and the acoustics are terrible, which is not surprising since they've been asked to play in a tent pitched under the Alabama moon in a suburban parking lot. But then, in their time, they've had to play Red Square in Moscow, in the shadow of the Eiffel Tower, and under the bridges of Paris. As Canada's cultural envoys, they've been getting around a lot. But among all the snaps is the highlight of their career, the day they played Peking. Long before the Toronto Symphony came here, before the Boston Symphony, before the ballet companies, and before Bob Hope, the Canadian Brass played Fats Waller on the Great Wall of China. The wall didn't exactly come tumbling down, but their playing of Western music sent a shockwave signal through the country. There were rave reviews in the Peking press. It was a historic visit, but the only record is this home movie, which the group filmed themselves. Carrying their own instruments as they usually do, they played 14 concerts in 14 days all over the country. They were the first brass group and the first foreign musicians to play in China since the death of Chairman Mao. This was nearly 3 years ago, and after the arrest of the Gang of Four, Western music was suddenly popular again. Beethoven, Bach, and Dellenbach. There's a scientific study that says concert musicians suffer as much stress in their jobs as the airline pilots who fly them. The tension levels in the Canadian Brass are kept down by Gene Watts, the trombone player, who uses a combination of health foods and meditation.
Fred and I actually learned at the same time in Toronto. It's just meditation. It's just something we do. We work together more subliminally, and we're aware of it. You know, we're more aware of this connection, I think, from meditation.
Actually got it together in time.
Yes, and just...
If you've ever lifted a 40-pound tuba, you'll understand why this is a special day for Chuck Dellenbach. This one is 12 pounds lighter, custom made by a great craftsman, Renold Schilke from Chicago.
And the old German workmen that were
He has made, by hand, all the instruments for the Canadian brass. And when the design is approved, they are plated with 24-karat gold, like the old tuba, to give them a richer sound as well as the richer look.
I mean, next time you see this, it will be gold, you see. And that's going to be, it's like a little jewel.
You going to try it out, Chuck?
Well, I should play it, yeah. Look for the valve buttons on this. These are really special. There's not a... Usually they're really tiny. This is...
Now we're here to what's coming up. They built it with a hole all the way through it. Isn't that fortunate?
From one end to the other.
You know, one nice feature of this is how light it is. You could probably even play this horn. Have you ever played a tuba?
I've never played a tuba. Do you think I could play a tuba?
I bet you could. Mr. Schilke is an expert teacher. Right off.
That's not
good.
bad, is it?
Excellent. Do that again. She's a natural. She said she had... You play tuba, right?
How come they're all notes at the same?
They aren't. You played
Oh, did I?
low C, you played the octave, and now you played the G.
That night in New York, Chuck Dellenbach gives one of the last performances on his old tuba. The audience is made up of students and professional brass musicians from all over the world, so they know that what he is about to attempt can only be called breathtaking.
The melody describes, in a most accurate manner indeed, the sounds of a bumblebee. An extraordinarily large bumblebee. Who, after having sufficiently stimulated himself with nectar, is attempting to fly home.